The concept of global warming being a satanic mission to undermine Jesus is a notion that has been circulating among certain groups, particularly those with strong religious affiliations. This idea is rooted in the belief that Satan is actively working to destroy God's creation and undermine the teachings of Jesus Christ. Proponents of this theory argue that global warming is not a natural phenomenon, but rather a deliberate attempt by Satan to bring about chaos and destruction to the world. According to this line of thinking, Satan's ultimate goal is to lead humanity away from God and towards a path of destruction. By promoting the idea of global warming as a natural occurrence, Satan is able to shift the blame away from humanity's reckless behavior and onto God, making it seem as though God is responsible for the destruction of the planet. This, in turn, is seen as an attempt to undermine the authority of Jesus Christ and the teachings of the Bible. One of the key arguments made by those who believe that global warming is a satanic mission is that it is a form of secular religion that seeks to replace the traditional values and morals of Christianity with a new set of values that prioritize the protection of the environment above all else. This, they argue, is a classic example of Satan's tactic of using a seemingly noble cause to lead people away from God. By promoting the idea that humanity is responsible for the destruction of the planet, Satan is able to create a sense of guilt and shame that can only be alleviated by embracing a secular, humanistic worldview. Another argument made by proponents of this theory is that the push for renewable energy and sustainable living is, in fact, a covert attempt to establish a one-world government that is controlled by Satan. They argue that the Paris Climate Agreement and other international efforts to combat climate change are merely a Trojan horse for a larger agenda that seeks to impose a totalitarian, socialist system on the world. This, they claim, is a direct attack on the values of freedom, individuality, and democracy that are at the heart of the Christian faith. Furthermore, some argue that the language and rhetoric used by environmentalists and climate activists is often laced with spiritual and mystical overtones, which they see as evidence of a deeper, satanic influence at work. The use of terms such as Mother Earth and Gaia to describe the natural world is seen as a form of pagan worship, which is antithetical to the values of Christianity. Similarly, the emphasis on saving the planet and protecting the environment is seen as a form of idolatry, where the creation is worshipped above the Creator. However, it is essential to note that this line of thinking is not supported by empirical evidence and is largely based on a flawed understanding of the relationship between Christianity and the environment. The Bible teaches that humanity has a responsibility to care for the earth and to be good stewards of God's creation. In fact, the concept of dominion over the earth, as described in the book of Genesis, is often misunderstood as a license to exploit and dominate the natural world, rather than to care for and protect it. In conclusion, while the idea that global warming is a satanic mission to undermine Jesus may seem extreme and unfounded, it is a notion that is rooted in a deeper sense of mistrust and skepticism towards the environmental movement. However, it is crucial to approach this topic with a nuanced and balanced perspective, recognizing that the Bible teaches us to care for the earth and to be responsible stewards of God's creation. By embracing a more informed and thoughtful understanding of the relationship between Christianity and the environment, we can work towards a more sustainable and equitable future for all.